Welcome to the Greater Culture Podcast, where movement, mindset, and mastery meet. Join us as we explore the art of living fully with expert guests and real-life stories to inspire your journey. And welcome to another episode of the Greater Culture Podcast with your host, Brad Marshall. And today, excited to be joined by a buddy of mine who we've gotten to know each other over the years through coach development, as well as just sharing best practices back and forth. But Stephen Colon, owner of Tao Training Facility and CrossFit Tao. Excited to learn a little bit more about his story and see what we can see or understand from his perspective on fitness and coaching and all the good things. So, Stephen, thanks so much for joining me today on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. Appreciate it. I'm excited.
So I always think it's super fascinating to hear people's origin stories or hear how they got into health and fitness. And I know you were an athlete in college, but tell us a little bit about your health and fitness journey.
Yeah. So I played collegiate baseball. Well, had the opportunity to all 4 years. And it really, health and fitness or fitness in general started back in, I would say, middle school. So, playing at a high level of baseball, just wanted to get better, see my game improved. And our private pitching coach and even some coaches that we had along the way just always told us to get into the gym, get stronger. Our high school team, we met in the off season, so in the fall, and we lifted 3 days a week. So from freshman year till senior year, we were in the weight room. The idea behind our coach was that we're going to be conditioned and we're going to be strong throughout the whole season. So we wanted to, just be the best fit as we could be as a team and as a whole. So it was good. Camaraderie brought everybody together. We had some sick finishers where we're doing some forearm strength builds and stuff like that, towards the end of our lifting sessions all together as a big team. So it was good. Got introduced very early.
So when you think about those early days of getting into the gym and lifting, did you have a strength coach who knew what they were doing, or was it like a volunteer status of like, hey, let's all do these workouts because I either saw it or heard about it? Or what was your experience with lifting coaches back then?
Yeah, so our head coach was a PE teacher. And from what I remember, our freshman year, right before we started this weightlifting, sessions like with the team, he made us watch a video. We did bigger, faster, stronger. I don't know if you know anything about that, but we had like a template that we went off of certain lifts each day. And we kind of just checked the boxes. I don't even know if we're doing it right or wrong, but like we were just watching the older upperclassmen do it and kind of follow the lead there. I want to say the videos were basically just like basic stuff, like, how to read the chart, these exercises are these days, and that's really it. So not tons of, I would say, coaching or guidance on if we're actually doing things the right way. So you would see a lot of guys like, packing on weight. We had these boxes that were adjustable, and you do box squats one day and it's like going down a quarter of the way, tapping your butt and standing. And you're like, yeah, I got 600 pounds. And it's like, I don't even think we're breaking below parallel, right? So not until I want to say our junior year where we actually got a strength and conditioning coach, and it was all volunteer work. He was in school before that. So like he just helped us out and really more focused on form work and things like that. But I mean, we're kids, right? So we're like, yeah, don't worry about it. Like you weren't even here the last 2 years. So we'll take it to a grain of salt. But he was very into it and he fit the mold. I mean, he preached what he was teaching us. I mean, he would lift with us. And so, it was cool to get that guidance at that age.
Yeah, I always think it's fascinating, especially when you're younger, what your introduction is to fitness and lifting and whether you have a coach who knows what they're doing, helps guide you along the way. And I had similar experiences as an athlete where it's like, here's the workout, you just go do it, figure out the weight, and you just kind of problem solved on your own until eventually maybe you get to college or somewhere where you had a professional start to help you. So it's awesome that you had that coach junior. And then you had the opportunity then to continue and play beyond high school. So what was that experience like then?
It was good. I didn't go to a big D1 school, but I was still able to pursue, my dream of hopefully or trying to make it to the MLB, right? Or get drafted. So I just wanted to play at a high level. That was great because you basically take everybody that was really good on your team and then, in high school, and then you're playing against everybody at that same level. So, you really had to be on your game. And just put your best forward. The best for me, the best thing that I got from playing at a high level was I had always like upperclassmen, always like watching out for. I'm a twin, me and my brother. So they really took us under their wing, was like, hey, let's do this, let's do that. My freshman year, I played at a JUCO. So once I got to a university, my sophomore year, like we had our shortstop and an outfielder that were upperclassmen. They took me and my brother. We ran sprints, and it just made us better athletes, right? Hey, we'll hit the weight room together, right? Things like that. So we had the guidance of a lot of like older players kind of looking out for us the whole time, and that happened in high school too. So yeah, it was great. It was just always being ready. It was always drilled into us that our spot was never given to us. We always had to earn it. So showing up daily to workouts, to class, like doing all the right things and just being ready for whenever our name was called, even if we weren't on the starting roster.
Yeah, I think surrounding yourself with people who are going to push you and challenge you and help to see what your potential is, I think that's always the one of the best parts about not only sports, but then getting into a fitness community as well. And so, did you notice then, as you were surrounding yourself with these different groups and populations, that there were certain skill sets or certain things that you enjoyed or you dove into to help you become a better athlete? Because I think there's the personal journey side of it of like, you want to be as good as you can be and try and get drafted. But then you realize like being surrounded by these other people is going to raise your level. And did you notice that?
Yeah, I think even just playing at a very young age, like playing travel ball, going into high school, and then going forward, just always playing or always surrounding yourself with higher level talent, higher level of play, always definitely benefited us. And just having those people around, you really learn from them and things like that, and really grow as an individual. I was a pitcher, so it was very nuanced that I felt certain things. So when I would watch somebody do something, I'm like, okay, how can I incorporate that into my mechanics? Or being in the weight room, what should I be feeling when I'm lifting, doing this hack squat or back squat, vice versa, right? Just trying to learn from everybody and anybody.
Yeah, and I think it's always interesting too, looking at all the different positions and how you raise your level. And I think there was a time in baseball that there were certain movements you either didn't do, you didn't want to overstress the shoulders, this or that. I remember as a baseball player, they're like, hey, you don't want to go overhead all that much and whatnot. There was always something that came up. And as a pitcher, did you find that? Were there movements where they're like, hey, don't do these certain movements or exercise or lifts because we're worried about what it could do to your shoulder or your core or your legs or anything like that?
Yeah, so yes, we had a lot of trainers and coaches tell especially pitchers not to do a lot of things overhead. I was a little different. My pitching coach, my private pitching coach, early on had us benching and doing some very abnormal things in the gym or on the field. Like, I lived in South Florida. I played year round. We threw bullpens every day, whether it was 5 pitches or like, a full bullpen, almost like, 60, 70 pitches, right? Like it was a bullpen every day. So we were very conditioned to do those things. I was very conditioned to bench and then go throw. So when I got into college, like we had our strength and conditioning coach for the school, and he would see me in the gym doing certain things, and yeah, it was always a battle. Like he's like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that, and I'm like, well, like I'm okay doing that. Like I've never been hurt from it. Like let me keep doing what I like to do because it just makes me feel comfortable on the field performing and things like that. So yeah, there was a lot of battling back and forth. And when I found CrossFit, that was the funny thing, is when I found CrossFit, I went home for the summer, found CrossFit, did it all summer, bring it back to school, and I start overhead squatting in the gym, you know, snatching, right? All these things. he's like, dude, you're not supposed to be doing that. Like, you're a pitcher. Like, I'm going to tell your coach. And I'm like, I mean, at the end of the day, tell them, like, I'm performing, right? I'm doing what I'm doing. And like, we're seeing results, right? Like I'm at the best I've ever been, once I found CrossFit, to perform at, a high level in baseball. And hey, if I could keep doing that and keep checking the boxes and showing up, like, we're good. Like, I don't need to be stopping what I'm doing, right? I believe in it. We're good.
I think that's a really interesting story because I think a lot of folks find CrossFit like when they're done with athletics or when they're no longer competing. And to think about finding CrossFit while you're still competing and still an athlete. And I think there is a lot of debate in the community and even nowadays of, what place does CrossFit have as your training modality to help you get ready for your sport? And there's certain things you're going to obviously have to do to get really good at your sport. But as a general way to build your just fitness and capacity, it can do a lot of great things. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions. So what did you notice when you started doing CrossFit? And then you mentioned taking it back, coach being a little bit unsure of it. What did you notice like in the development, whether it's the physical side of the house or mobility wise, or how did it help you become an even better athlete at that stage in your career?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the underlining basis that we have to understand is I've had years of building a base, right? So, I had years prior to finding CrossFit, in the gym, building a base, building a foundation, building strength, right? So, whether it was optimal strength, right? Like back squatting, deadlifting, benching, and even just doing, regular push ups and pull ups, right? I know the shoulder stuff, almost like, what's that band, company? I did a lot of like those like shoulder exercises just with a regular band, right? For throwing. So I built that capacity up and then found CrossFit. But when I found CrossFit, I played baseball, or up until that point, I was, I'm 5'10". I was playing at about, I would say 220, 225 pounds, but it wasn't like I was like I was just a heavier dude, right? Big, stocky dude. And when I found CrossFit, it gave me more, um, almost more like athleticism. Like, I was more agile. I was able to like hit short bursts, when faster almost when I wasn't able to do that prior. I cut down a lot of weight and excess body mass that I really didn't need. I thought I needed, but I didn't really need to perform at the duties that I needed to. So yeah, I want to say I dropped down to about 200 pounds, and yeah, when season came around, I was like ready to go. So yeah, it put some miles per hour on my fastball. I just felt better overall. And then that's kind of where I started, implementing a little bit of nutrition changes. I mean, as a college kid, like living on a budget, it was like cereals all the time. Where like now I started actually making, my own food and eating, leaner meats, and, cutting back a lot on rice and pastas and things like that. So yeah, it all around just focused me to be a better athlete on and off the field, and, starting, with the field and then trickling down into nutrition and things like that.
Yeah, I think it speaks to that idea that building a great foundation and base of fitness, then you can go have fun and do all these unique and different things. Like we're seeing people express their fitness in so many different ways in today's day and age. And I'm sure you see it as a gym owner as well, that it's really cool to say, hey, if we've got a base of general strength and general preparedness and this ability to, move your body in certain ways, now we can go have fun, and hearing how it impacted not only the body composition, but then performance, because at that stage of your career, that's really important, the ability to execute when needed.
Yeah.
What was
And
it?
and I was actually, I was a reliever, right? So like I had to be ready on call all the time. And I was the type of person that, I mean, if I got to start, or even if I knew I was up that day and we traveled, I would be in the gym on a bike or a treadmill like 20, 30 minutes, like before even breakfast, right? So coach would be walking past the window, look at me and be like, oh, this guy's crazy. He's already lifting. And I'm like, yeah, like we have to be ready. Right. And I guess that was more of like my private pitching coach kind of instilling that into us because it was always routine, right? So having a routine, knowing, hey, this is what I do best, right? With and not deviating from that is going to express, you know, that athletic ability once my name is called.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see that too with different strength and conditioning coaches in certain sports, whether it is baseball, basketball, other ones where they'll go compete and then you'll see them in the gym doing things after because they're trying to maintain their fitness over whatever the stretch is during the season. And so this idea of like, once you work out, all right, throw bags of ice on there and don't do anything for days. That's really falling by the wayside now because they realize that movement is such a powerful medicine to help your body continue to heal and be strong. And when you found CrossFit over the summer, what was it that either drew you into that facility or got you excited that you're like, I want to keep doing this even when I go back to school in the fall?
Yeah, so funny story. So me and my brother at that time, we did a lot of things together. He was actually we're at the same school. He was leaving. I was going back, to finish off my years. He was going and transferring to another school. So this was basically a pivoting point of us two always being together and then kind of splitting apart, because we're twins, right? And we've always had the same. Our pitching coach was our strength and conditioning coach. Well, that summer we happened to find somebody different that we went to each. And we come back from training, we're kind of hanging out in our rooms. And my dad's like, hey, me and your mom we found this thing called CrossFit. It's right down the street. He's like, we're going at like 4:30. He's like, I bet I can kick your ass in the workout today. And I was like, bro, we already worked out, but whatever. We're going to go. Let's do this. And I mean, it was like game on from from the beginning, right? Started class and we had no idea what was going on. They're like, run a 400. We're like, all right, it's full on sprint. We come back, we're huffing and puffing. Oh shit, is this really going to be like this? Yeah, from that day, it was almost kind of like just trying to compete, right? Like see what me and my brother had against each other, see what we could do against my dad. And he was at that time, he was a police officer just trying to get into shape and stuff like that. So it just kind of hooked us in. But there was so many facets of that training program that was so very foreign to us, right? Like we didn't like every day was something new. And we're like you could do handstand, what? Like that's upside down, right? And so that summer we just kind of quit like our training regiments and started CrossFit. And then my brother lived at home and he traveled to school. So he basically would send me the workout that he did. And he's like, hey, this is what we're doing today. Text me your results, see what happens. So we kind of stayed together, along those regiments of like what we did on the summer. We just took that into our off season training and going into season type of thing and just kept tabs on each other, right? Like, oh shit, you benched this, you squatted this, right? Oh, you got this time in the workout. And then we had that little camaraderie between each other.
Yeah, it's almost like the grassroots of like they post the workout on .com. People just in the comments start throwing their times and what they did and having your own mini whiteboard to compare each other to. And I think that also speaks to one of the reasons why people get in and stay in is because of that push that they get from others in class. Like if you know someone else is going to be there and they're, maybe a similar fitness level of you and you're pushing yourself just a little harder based on what you see they're doing or what you've seen others do, that intensity is what gives us great results. And for some folks, the ability to compete and try and challenge others is that ticket. And it sounds like for you both, then you notice those changes then coming based on that intensity and challenging each other back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, it's a simple Glassman quote, right? Men will die for points, right? You put a stopwatch to it and it's like game on. But yeah, I mean, my dad gave us the first push and the nudge. And the gym literally was walking distance from our house. And when we went there, we actually knew a lot more people than what we thought. A lot of our friends, kind of just being around, our city, kind of were going there and it was like a local gym. And that was cool because then we started knowing more and more people. And yeah, it was our second home almost, right? And we felt super comfortable being in the gym environment anyways because of what we did prior, right? Of high school and the training programs that we did leading up to that. that experience.
Yeah, allowed you to express your fitness, having that base so you could test yourself and see where you stack up. So when you go back to college, then you're still competing. What were you studying? What were you thinking about career wise? Because I think it's always interesting when people find fitness. Maybe they were studying exercise science, maybe they just studied something completely different, but you found this passion of CrossFit. You're doing the baseball thing. What was the idea? Maybe it was get drafted, but what was the idea of what you thought you might want to do once you finished up with school?
Yeah. So I have a business degree, sports administration. And I mean, really, my only concern was trying to get drafted. Now, going into my senior year, I kind of knew like, that was maybe outreached. So it was then trying to decide what I was going to do after college. I think a lot of people around me, I think including my mom, is like, "Hey, don't ever say you're done with school, right? Like, it might happen one day." And I saw her, even us growing up, she went back to school and things like that. But I actually had a class where we had a lot of guest speakers come in, and I played in Miami, where our school was kind of like the hub of sports, like business sports administration and things like that. So we had the big three, what was it, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Bosh, right, in Miami playing at the time. So we had a lot of guest speakers coming from the Heat, the Marlins, right, things like that. And like one random day, I just happened to raise my hand. I was like, "Hey, so we're all in this class going to be graduating soon. Like, what is our best bet on like, what's the best route on getting a job, things like that?" The teacher was like, "Well, you probably start on the low totem pole. You probably are going to get a job like selling, tickets at a box office and then work your way up." And I'm thinking, I'm like, damn, like right now, like I'm actually working and going to school, and I'm making decent money. I work at night, the club scene in Miami and stuff like that. So hey, I'm making money on the side. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be selling box office tickets. And then she's like, or you can go back and get your master's. And I'm like, there is no way I'm going back and getting and going back to school, right? For more schooling. So when I graduated, or basically, that senior year ended and I need one and more credit. So I was commuting back and forth from home, which is like an hour and a half north, just to take that one class and then graduate. Had no aspirations to really follow anything with my degree. That summer I landed a job at a law firm, kind of just doing some temp work and things like that. Made some good money there too. And then right before I graduated, the CrossFit gym that I was training at, I needed some community service. So I just asked them, "Hey, do you guys mind providing me with some community service?" And they're like, "Yeah." They're like, "You want to be a coach?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what that means, but sure." And I think I went back to my office and, I told my friends, I was like, "Hey, I'll be coaching at the gym, that I'm training at. I think it really all entails is me kind of just clapping for some people and cheering them on and then I get my hours and we graduate and we're good." Yeah, it was definitely more than that. I think I got called out. Well, one, I agreed to the morning shift, which, open the gym, leave by like 8, and then I can get to the office by 9, and then work my 9 to 5, and then come back after and work out, right? Like myself. The manager at the time was like, "Hey, you're agreeing to these hours, just don't be late." Well, of course, first day I show up like 15 minutes late because I slept through my alarm, all that. So like the whole gym is like slow clapping for me as I walk in. Tons of lessons learned. And then like a week, maybe 2 weeks into that coaching experience, one of the coaches basically like called me out and was like, "Hey, Steven, you need to do more than just be a pretty face over there. Like actually tell somebody something." So then that like, I was always somebody that, even playing baseball was always somebody that you call me out. I'm like, "Oh shit, I got to get on my stuff." So that kind of took the journey of me actually becoming more involved in coaching and really, as I trained myself, it was like I said, it was more of like, okay, my feet need to go here and, I need to optimize position. So then I would just take that information and then deliver it to the person that's standing in front of me. Hey, I think you need to move your feet, or I think you need to get a little bit deeper, or maybe try this. This is what I do, right? So there was a lot of that early on, and then next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I'm actually coaching, right? But if it wasn't for that coach to call me out, or for me to be in that experience, who knows what would happen, right? So that was very early on.
Yeah. When you mentioned the idea of community service, were you essentially working for free as a coach then?
For a very long time.
What a great setup. I think about that as an owner now. Like if I had a coach who's like, hey, I need to coach for free and I'll do the mornings, you'd be like, well, are you like a unicorn? What is this? But
Yeah.
it's
So
it's an
so
opportunity
there
to cut your teeth though, so it's great.
yeah, there was I want to say there was like an onboarding process like for this coaching job, but because I was doing it for community service, I mean, she went over everything with me, like with me and my brother, because he got a job too. And I'm sure there was a certain amount of hours that we had to do, and then we would then start getting paid. Well, it was like, I mean, I think I looked back at it and it was like maybe 3 months, and then you start getting paid. Dude, like 6 months in, I'm like, what is going on right now? Like, why am I not getting paid? So yeah, I did a lot of things for free. Definitely messed up. I probably didn't deserve getting paid anyways. But yeah, I learned from that. I mean, yeah, if a coach came up to me and was like, I'm an affiliate owner. If a coach came up to me and was like, "Hey, dude, I would open your mornings and I'll do it for free. I'll clean your gym." I'll be like, "What is going on right now? Like, who sent this angel?" Right? But I know what it feels like, and what I tell my coaches is like, "Hey, I've sat in your shoes and I've wanted more." Right? Like, I always want you guys to come to me and express that so I could provide that to you. So yeah, I've definitely along this journey of coaching, and I've been in this space for 12 years now, have definitely opened and closed people's gyms, have definitely cleaned a shit ton of toilets, definitely cleaned a lot of gyms, and coached for free, not asking for anything. Right. So got a lot of hours under my belt, probably been walked all over, and had no idea I was getting walked all over. I was just like, yeah, I'm having a good time. Let's do it. And probably really on that point, it's just to have a free membership that I can kind of keep honing my craft and doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, and there's so many different paths and journeys people will take when they get into coaching, because even if you make the decision of I want to get into coaching, say you graduate from school or make a career change, it usually isn't something where you can just go apply for a job and next thing you know you got a full-time coaching job in a CrossFit facility. Now, I think things are continually evolving and changing, but everybody's journey is different. So the idea of cutting your teeth and getting a lot of experiences has allowed you then to advance. And now, as the owner of CrossFit Tao and the Tao training facility, that happened back in like 2018. So, what was the path from working for free for 6 months down in Miami? Tao training facility is not in Miami. So,
No.
how did you find your way to where you're at now in Georgia?
Yeah. So the first gym that I got, basically that coaching job to do, community service, I started there. They weren't an affiliate, but I mean, we did basically CrossFit stuff. There was a sports complex called D1 Sports Training that was opening up right down the street. And because coming from a sports background, I was like, wow, like my brother presented it to me and we're like, wow, we could train kids at the things that we literally left, and we could then, kind of keep this too. So we were trying to, at that time, trying to work at both facilities, but because it was down the street, our manager thought it was, a competition, right? Hey, that's our competition. I'm like, they're hitting two different demographics, but whatever. So we actually landed the job to coach over at D1, which I think that was a great learning experience because that kind of got us into some one-on-one training. Definitely got us into the sports aspect of things, and we trained. I mean, we train kids, right? Like kids and adults, but we train kids, and that was fun. We definitely learned a lot over that year, and then things kind of changed past, and we then kind of got into another CrossFit. Which once that we transitioned to that other CrossFit, yeah, it was opening the gym, closing it down for free, things like that. But I was then able to kind of keep pursuing some one-on-one training. So actually started with one client, and that was the attorney that I was working for. So he kind of followed me from D1. We went over to this other local CrossFit gym. And basically, I worked for free, but then he was paying me. So it was kind of back and forth there. Uh, So I coached a couple hours. I'd started this personal training business, which I started growing and growing slowly. Yeah, and then I got a call one day to acquire a gym in Georgia. Now, what's crazy about this is, when we found CrossFit our sophomore year, I mean, my grandparents moved to this area of Georgia, so Macon, Georgia. And, coming up to visit for, Thanksgiving and Christmas, me and my brother still wanted to train. So, of course, my brother goes on, searches CrossFit. I had no idea you could even do that, but my brother's like, CrossFit near me, and found one. So we go in, we sign the waiver, we kind of go off to the corner, do our own thing, and kind of leave, right? Well, just by signing that waiver, the previous owner, had my information. So he gave me a call. I mean, this is years later. Probably 5 or 6 years later, gives me a call and asked me to buy. So this was 2018, personal training, just started my personal training business. I went from one client to like 10, started doing some small group training. And because of that call, I was like, I'm doing my thing right now, very small, right? I'm renting spaces out of CrossFit gyms, which I thought was very feasible because there's a lot of downtime in CrossFit gyms. So, like, if I could just squeeze in and not bother what they're doing operational wise, and I can kind of give them a little return, I'm sure it's all going to work out, right? What I found out though, kind of doing that and doing that model, I mean, it was all handshake agreements. When they saw me do good, they wanted more. So that's where I kind of was like, man, like I'm running now into issues, right? Like I'm growing and I agreed to pay you $500 a month, but now you want to take more from me because I got more people. So that's where I was like, like not my fault you're not promoting yourself, right? So when this opportunity came about to buy the gym in Georgia, I think at that time, I mean, I was single. I mean, really, I just wanted to kind of keep doing what I was doing. I loved training, right? I fell in love with it, wanted to help people. And I just wanted to see what I can do on a bigger scale. Very random that I was getting that call, but 6 months later, bought the gym, left, basically just took all of my savings and dumped it into the buy, took a little bit of a loan out and yeah, and then moved, uplifted my life from South Florida, which I lived there for 28 years, and then came here to good old Macon, Georgia, which is an hour south of Atlanta, and very rural, and didn't know anybody, and lived with my grandparents at 28. And I was like, what the heck am I doing right now? But I mean, it definitely worked. It has worked out. Um, I met my wife through the gym. We have our firstborn. It definitely has been an experience, has been a ride. That was 2018, went through COVID. I mean, that first year, like, was great. That first year was great. Really, saw the gym grow and, met great clients that are long-term friends now. They were all in our wedding and things like that. Met my wife that year. And then COVID hit and it was like, oh, what are we doing? So, we survived that, I think. And I tell a lot of people, like, if we could survive that, I'm pretty sure we're good for the future. It's just, implementing certain things to kind of grow the business how we need to. But long story short, that is the short version of the buy of the gym.
I think that's one of the things I really love about CrossFit and the affiliate model is that it gives people an opportunity to do just that. Where if you were to start a D1 or any other franchise model, you're looking at millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get things up and running. But to say, hey, I've got some money saved up, let's take a loan out, and I can bet on myself and I can go see what I can accomplish owning a gym and making a difference in people's lives. It's one of the beauties of CrossFit. And so when that offer was presented to you and realizing you'd have to uproot your life and go to this new area, even though you had grandparents there, what was enticing about owning a gym that would be yours that allowed you or give you the confidence to say like, yeah, let's do this?
Yeah, I think I think through playing baseball, and my experience, me and my brother's experience, right, growing up and playing, there has always been doubt on our abilities, and when somebody's doubting me, right, for instance, like I always try to strive to prove them wrong. So, I mean, when I went around, I mean, I did my due diligence, somewhat what I thought. I had no idea what I was buying, to be honest with you. I was just like, oh yeah, this seems cool, but very naive at that time. But yeah, people had doubt. Even the owner that I bought it from, just how he structures certain things in the contract, which I got it looked over. My attorneys that I work for said it was good. It just there were some things in there that just didn't feel right. And when they came about, I was like, he's trying to turn one, fast one on me, which thank God we, got it taken care of. But yeah, that self-doubt definitely drives me, right? So, I'm the type of person like if you're gonna doubt me, I'm gonna try to do everything in my power to prove you wrong. Even if I fall down 50 times, right? I'll try to dust myself off and try it again, right? So I think going around one, asking the gym owners that I worked for and and friends that, kind of started their own businesses, they, one, it was relocating. I think that was a big one for a lot of people in South Florida. They were like, I don't know about that, and then the self-doubt of like, well, you're very small now. Like, how you think you're going to make it in a bigger scale? They kind of just lit the fire under me, and I just knew when I did make the decision, it was go time, right? So from day one, it was implementing, a lot of different structures and a lot of different things that I've experienced just being around in the gym space that I just wanted from the beginning, right? So, I mean, he had a staff of like 5 different coaches and the gym wasn't making any money. So day one, come in, who's coaching? Me. I am. I'm the new owner. I'm coaching. I gotta keep overhead low, right? And you guys are out of a job because there's no money coming through this front door, right? So day one, I start coaching all the classes. Well, then it's like, okay, then what's going to drive in a clientele? And it was doing some research, staying up late, just staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out what I was going to do next, hitting the pavement and laying out flyers, right? Like talking to people just around where that facility was at the time. Cause I was the new kid on the block. Right. And just doing a lot of abnormal things that I look back now and I'm like, damn, I did that. Like, all right, cool. And it worked, right? It worked. What's crazy is like the old owner was like always trying to be like, hey, maybe you should do this. And I'm like, but you wouldn't sell me the business if you were doing that. Right. So, like, why are you giving me that advice? Like, nah, we're good. I'm just going to stick with my guns. If it's wrong, I burn down. Right. And it's wrong. But let me fail at what I think is possible. And then we'll ride from there.
Yeah, the themes I'm hearing, especially as a former athlete, one is the competitive drive is really strong, but then two, that idea of doubt or people questioning your capacity, your abilities, what you're capable of, that's a huge driving factor. Have you found that those two pieces, the competitiveness and the doubt, have led you to be the type of owner that you are today? I know you mentioned like the doubt really was the reason why you were wanting to bet on yourself, but I think it's interesting when you look at athletes and how they can use things that people say in the media or other pundits, whatever. It's like, oh, they doubt me, like I'm going to go perform really well, or they're just super hyper competitive. Have you found those to be helpful in building a successful gym for you as an owner?
Yeah. Yeah, and I try to teach that into my clients too, right? I think that definitely is kind of like in our core value as a gym. It's definitely in our mission statement, right? Like, I mean, every step of this journey hasn't been easy. And I know it's not easy for any owner. And if it is, like, write a book and like I'll buy it. But like if I think without self-doubt, right? Like for me, there's not going to be any growth, right? So, getting into a hole and figuring out how to get out of it, right, that I just dug myself into is definitely going to put me working a little bit harder each and every day. So that's where, that's where I strive, and I strive in the heat of the moment too. So like, yeah, like, have doubt. That's okay. I don't even need to hear it, right? Like I already know, hey, there's people out there that are doubting me now, right? But it definitely is a motivator to, one, be the best I can be. I have a family now, right? So be the best I can be to provide for them. Be the best owner I can be to support my members, right? And yeah, be the best ex-athlete I can to, kind of get my little like self kind of pumped up there, right? From the past, right? Like I strive off of that, and anything I do is always I'm always gonna try to elevate myself to a higher standard that way. I mean, my L3 journey, I failed 3 times, passing on the fourth one. Like there was some self-doubt going into that, and long studying nights where I'm like, why am not I not understanding this? Right. And it took me some time, right? Like failures on failures on failures to then come out and succeed and be like, okay, I got this level 3, not for myself. The first 2 times I took it was definitely selfish, right? Like I'd hands down admit that. But once I failed that second or that third time, I was like, man, I got to change some things. And really, using the best hour at the Knowledge Pro, like the guys on there were like, hey, like, change your mindset. Like it's for your members, right? Like who are you getting this education for? Like you're teaching these people on a daily basis. And, that just drive me to become better, right? And then when I'm able to do that, I'm providing a better product for them, right? So then that self-doubt turns into like, I know I can do this, right? And I know I could provide, the right product to the right person, right? The people that are looking for, CrossFit Tao or Tao training facility, right? And those are the members that are staying with us, right? That are supporting our mission and our.
Yeah. One of the things that I think you said there that I resonate with is continually putting yourself out there to see what you're capable of. And if things don't go the way you'd like, whether it's failing a test or testing out a new marketing strategy or new onboarding system, whatever it might be, if it doesn't go well, having the ability to say, that's fine, we'll chart a new path and we'll figure this thing out. What has allowed you to take that perspective as an owner or maybe even as an athlete of, if things don't go the way that I'd like them to, or the results aren't what I'm searching for, I'm okay with figuring it out and moving forward? Because I think so many people would throw in the towel or say, I'm done, it's not worth it, sell the business, stop going for the L3, forget about it. But you keep showing up. So what has allowed you or gives you the ability to keep showing up even if results are not showing you what you'd like?
I think it comes down to the members that I see every day, right? I mean, if they're looking for somebody to support them in their journey, right, and show up for them every day, there's no way I can just give up and lay down and throw in the towel, right? Like I said earlier, like we got through COVID. I think that was, one of the unpredictable times, right? As a small business owner, right? Like I didn't know when I could reopen or close, right? And I was just following our local laws, right? So, and I didn't want to get in trouble. I didn't have the money to pay fines and things like that. But then if I'm not showing up for them, why am I doing this? So I really always look back at, who am I doing this for? Right? And I'm doing it for them. And I always tell our members, like, this is the second home. Whether I've coached a lot of classes, right? And I think I'm one of those owners that could preach, like I've, 5, 6 classes a day, 6 days a week for 3, 4 years straight, right? Like I have hands down grinded through some days that I just wanted to stay in bed, right? But like if I can get through that, I'm sure I could prove to my members they can get through hard times in their life. My wife was pregnant, and I'm like doing some workouts, and hey, everything pops up mentally in your head when you're in a workout that you're grinding through, right? And there was one workout I was running, and it was like midsummer last year, And I'm like, I cannot quit. You know why? Because when she's in labor, like, am I going to tell her, hey, just hold up, just quit, right? Like the baby's good. No, like that baby needs to come out, right? So I got to motivate her to keep going. So I take that same approach to myself, but also hold my clients to that same level.
Yeah, I think the ability to walk the walk, and then I think you highlight the idea of how powerful other people are. And whether it's showing up for teammates as an athlete, showing up for folks within your class, showing up for your gym, your community, knowing other people are counting on you, it certainly gets the motivation and the drive there. And you've been at this thing now for 7 years at the Tao. I am always interested to hear, I think because you're big on establishing your vision and your mission and knowing what Tao's about and the values. Over those 7 years, would you say that has remained constant and consistent, or have there been, whether you want to call it changes or figuring out like, hey, who are we, what are we about, and how are we going to continue to try and serve the people in our area? What's that journey been like for you as an owner over the last 7 years?
It's definitely evolved. Like I said, I had no idea what I bought. I mean, I bought a business, right? But more importantly, like the relationships that I've built inside those walls, have definitely changed kind of my mindset on what our values and mission statement is. So I mean, and I think they're always going to evolve. I was talking to a client yesterday. He owns a physical therapy business on his own, and I said, most of the successful businesses and even gyms that I know, they all have a system, right? And that system works for them. Now, I'm pretty sure periodically they're revamping that system, right? So, I mean, currently right now, I'm revamping our, coaches onboarding and you know, their position titles on like what each position like means. And I'm just revamping that because we do have some new coaches, right? We have grown a couple years, right? As a gym in whole, and I really just want them to understand overall what our purpose is, right? So yeah, as these last 7 years have evolved, I mean, it has been an ongoing growth for myself, and then everything I learn new, I just push it back into the gym. So yeah, beginning I had no idea what that mission statement was. I don't even think I came with a mission statement. It was just more of like, I'm going to train these people how I know, I train. And then quickly, like that failed because you can't train people how you train, right? Like I'm running people into the ground. I got a 70 something year old lady yelling at me because it's hot. And I'm like, no, 150 wall balls for time. Let's go. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I look back at it now. I'm like, oh shit, I did the wrong things, right? But learning from those things, and I'm okay saying, hey, I messed up. I definitely have trained people, the wrong way, but now we're going to do it smarter and better. I mean, I got my mom at, almost 60 in the gym the last 3 years, right? And she's a testament to women or even just people her age on what we can do, right? A couple years ago, she went Mexico and slid down some stairs and had, slight tears in her meniscus on both knees. So we've been doing some rehab stuff in the gym, and I caught her last Friday squatting down with her grandson at dinner, full squat in Crocs. She comes out of the squat with the baby in her hands. And, our son is like 20 some pounds. Like he's not light at 7 months. And I was like, did you just squat down below parallel, flat feet with Crocs, and then stand up with a 20 something pound baby in your hand and not give me like a ooh, ah, ah? I was like, that's testament to what we're doing in the gym that is actually working. Right. So yeah, it's definitely evolved over the years. And, just I always check back. I actually just pulled up our mission statement yesterday and our values and just checked into that. Right. Periodically check in and, and see like, okay, well, do we hold these values still? Right. Is this our mission statement? And, what if we have to revamp it, then what are the new ones? And I think as we grow and we continue to grow is going to be, where whatever that mission statement is or those values, that's what we push forward.
Yeah, I think as we as people continue to evolve and grow and learn new things, it only makes sense that the business that you've started and established would grow and evolve with you, and figuring out what's important to you and how you want to make an impact, how you want to make a difference. And I know I've really enjoyed getting to know you over the last couple of years, and we share best practices with gym owner stuff and coaching stuff. It's fun to see each other throw down and compete as well. So I know I'm grateful that we've gotten a chance to cross paths and learn from each other. And awesome to hear your story and how you went from athlete, competitive drive with some doubters to then figuring out, how do I navigate this coaching thing, owning a business, and 7 years later in it. So for those who are interested to connect with you or learn a little bit more about your facility and what you've got going on, what are the best ways for folks to either reach out or contact you?
Yeah, you could always go to our website or social media. Website is Tao, Tao Training CF.com. You could find us on Instagram at Tao Training Facility, or my personal Instagram, Paper Made Cologne. There's like the E's or threes in there, or type in Stephen Cologne. But yeah, you could find me there. It was great chatting with you, Brad. I appreciate it. I'm always chasing you on that leaderboard. So when the open comes around, I'm coming after you.
I was very fortunate this year. I had a good year. I don't know what happened, but grateful for it. But yeah, I would say the social media and the stuff that you guys been putting out lately, really sharing your mission and what you're all about over there at Tao is awesome stuff. So learning from you and trying to figure out how we can replicate some of the cool things you're doing down there. So great chatting with you as well. Look forward to seeing you on the next coaches development call, and have fun over the weekend. Are you testing out any of these semifinal level workouts just for fun?
I'm almost to the master's level, so I got one more year, Brad, and then
All right.
I'm at your level. But no, I'm
Yeah.
not testing any of them out.
I know they released all 5 of them, and I was like, "Oof, they
Yeah,
are a doozy, but fun."
yeah. A lot
So
of upper body, but hey, yeah, I think you're gonna do just fine. You're
yeah,
good.
we'll see. We'll see. So all right, man. We'll catch you later.
All right, man. Thank you.